Yes, hello everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. And it's a bit of a sad one today. The club have announced the release of five senior players, those being Paul Dummett, Matt Ritchie, Loris Karius, Jeff Hendrick, and Kelland Watts. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say emotional, but Matt Ritchie's arguably one of the most important signings the club's made this century. Paul Dummett, has been at the club since 2000. It's a bit of a sad day, I would say. Obviously, it's probably overdue. Both leaving the club, they've both have made minimal appearances in the last couple of years, but they've been important players nonetheless. I think Dummett will be feeling a bit hard done by the fact had the cup final gone the other way at the weekend, then he'd maybe have stayed for another year to help with UEFA rules. But yeah, both are leaving. Matt Ritchie, I thought would have retired here. In all honesty, I always thought he was going to become part of Eddie Howe's coaching staff. Maybe that is something that we might see happen in the long term. But for now, he's moving on to a new adventure. Maybe somewhere MLS, maybe back down to the Championship. He had such a monumental impact for us when he signed back in 2016 and really helped us get back to the Premier League and was there in our moment of need when we needed someone like Matt Ritchie, because he could have stayed in the Premier League with Bournemouth but chose to make the drop down and was absolutely monumental for us. In the 8 years that Ritchie has been at the club, he's made 215 competitive appearances and scored 25 goals. A lot of them in the Championship, and a lot of them at crucial moments. You think of Man United this season, but came back up. He's just had some absolutely magical moments for the club, if you maybe pardon the pun there. But just it's I don't know. I think it came as a bit of surprise to me. I don't know whether I started believing that Ritchie staying 10 more years, part of the chant, but it's just not. I was kind of always in the mind that he was going to retire here and join the coaching staff. But, I'm excited for him to see where he ends up now next season, what level he'll play at. I can't see him staying in the Premier League, although he did score an important goal against his former side Bournemouth this year, which got us an equaliser there. But I think maybe Championship, maybe MLS. I can see him pairing it up in the MLS. To be honest, the league's still not a great level, and I think he's maybe still above the level to be playing there. He is 34-year-old, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe he'll join up with Matty Longstaff at Toronto. You never know. Paul Dummett, he's one of them players I'll always be very fond of. And I always think back to that 3-3 the season went down, scoring the equaliser against Man United, and then seeing him outside a house of Smith 3 o'clock in the morning after scoring it, just surrounded by people chanting, "I crashed my car into the bridge, I don't care, Paul Dummett." I ended up just going over and saying, "Look, Paul, I absolutely love you after that night. Do you mind if I get a photo?" And just remember him being absolutely sound and being like, yeah. So yeah, it's just when you've been at a club that long. I mean, signing on as a boy in 2000 and being at the club for near 24 years, it's just absolutely amazing. The club have left a really touching tribute for Paul, where he's talking about his time at the club on our Twitter account. Newcastle's Twitter account. Do make sure to go and check that out. It's really nice and just shows that how much it's meant to him playing for his boyhood team for so long and staying in and around the first team. And like I say, it's unfortunate that Man United won the cup final, because I think unfortunate for Dummett that is, that had Man City won the cup like we all thought they were going to, Paul Dummett probably would have been here for another year. But yeah, wasn't to be. Be interesting to see what Paul does now. I think he's very much in the same boat as Ritchie, I think he'll have opportunities there to maybe go across and play in the MLS, maybe drop down to the Championship. Like I say, I think both have probably passed their time in the Premier League. Although in the cup, Paul Dummett, Man United away, played brilliantly. City as well in the Carabao, but that game against Everton at home, where he gave away the penalty, maybe showed that Premier League's maybe past his mark now. But yeah, again, just excited as a fan of the player and what he's done for the club while he's been here, just to see what happens in the next step of his career. One player I don't think we're going to be waiting on a tribute for is Jeff Hendrick, who joined the club in 2020 after leaving Burnley on a free and becoming probably the most ultimate Mike Ashley signing ever. He's been released by the club, and it's just, it was a player we shouldn't have signed at the time when we did them. It's just, if anything, it's a great deal off the wage bill. Yeah, I'm not going to say good riddance because he's not done anything particularly too wrong apart from just being a dreadful footballer. But yeah, he's gone. It's a big deal to get it off the wage bill. I feel like this is what this summer was going to be about, getting the deadwood off of there, and Jeff Hendrick is a name that we needed to get off, and it's happened. He's been at the club for 4 years, a couple of loan deals in that time. Chef Wed, QPR, scored a couple while he's been here, made a handful of appearances while he was, and just, it's just that last little stain on the club of Mike Ashley being there is starting to go, and there's other players that are probably going to follow suit this summer that we didn't need to bring in and are following out the door. So it's a positive one. Moving on to another player being moved on today, Loris Karius, the man of the hour when we needed him, when Nick Pope had his moment of madness getting sent off in that game against Liverpool right before the cup final last season. Karius stepped in. We were all doubtful after his antics in the Real Madrid-Liverpool Champions League cup final. No one knew what to expect, but I feel like, to be fair to him, to the limited minutes he'd had, he came in and put a stint in that game, and obviously only played one other competitive fixture for Newcastle United, so there's not much to say on him other than he's been round the club. I don't feel like I've heard many complaints coming from the players' camp. I feel like when you sign a player that was at one point a wonder kid, in which Karius was, when he got that move to Liverpool, he was meant to be, maybe like the next Neuer, a Ter Stegen, kind of a big player for Germany, and just didn't happen. It all came crashing down after that dreadful night for him, the cup final. And yeah, he's been at the club, and there's not much more other to say than good luck on wherever you go. I know he's off to Milan, I believe it is, a lot of the time during his time as a Newcastle player, doing modelling and all sorts, and maybe that's what he should move on to now, whether he'll carry on his playing career or just dive straight into modelling, or maybe he might follow in suits of fellow German keeper Tim Weiser, I think it was, who tried to pursue a career of professional wrestling. So there's that, or I think he could definitely be Thor's stunt double. So yeah, we'll wait and see what beholds for Loris Karius in the near future. The last player being released today by the club is Kelland Watts, who's been at the club's academy for many years, but spent a lot of his time out on loan to EFL clubs over the last couple of years, Wigan to name one of them. He's made now 100 or over 100 appearances in the EFL, so I don't think he'll struggle to get himself a move. I think he's became quite a reputable option in the EFL, so hopefully the club, him and his agents will be able to find himself a solid move this summer, and hopefully he won't be going on too long without a club. I don't think he will. I think he'll find a club quite quickly. He's established himself at that level, and yeah, hopefully we'll find the club that suits him. And finally, just to wrap up today's video, the temporary club shop that we saw being set up a couple of weeks ago is finally open. For now, it's just housing official club merchandise, just your kind of your generic clothing with just the Newcastle badge on, and there is a couple of like new era caps which look pretty decent, if I do say so myself. It feels like that's the kind of stuff that's been missing from the club shop while Castore's been there, in terms of like little like mugs and stuff like that. I don't know whether I've just had a blind eye and just always go upstairs to the where the official shirts were, but just those like little trinkets. I mean, as a golf player myself, I would love having more kind of like a marker, things like that. Just generic merch, that can help bring in income to the club, and it's just nice things to have kind of lying around. Even like the prints, stuff like this. Again, like, this is me just being totally ignorant. I don't know whether I've just had a blind eye. I know there's a section kind of on the right wall when you come in where it's got some kind of generic odd bits of memorabilia, but like things like this signature print I've got above my shoulder there was signed by, that's 95, 96 squad. And then just like, because finding Newcastle prints, you've got to go all over the internet now, and 9 times out of 10 they're not licensed to, what I mean. It's just, I think the club's moving in the right direction with the club shop. Obviously Adidas are going to be taking over. There's been images shared online today of the club shop starting its renovation. Those Castore logos are all going. I'm excited to see inside the ground of the Castore logos down in there. It'll be interesting to see if we see a lot of Adidas sponsorship around the ground. There's a lot of Premier League clubs that are sponsored by Adidas, have their seats in a Adidas logo pattern. Maybe we'll see that in the Gallagher. You never know. There's just going to be a lot of changes coming around this summer. I think it's going to be a really exciting one now. There's players going out that, like I've mentioned, Ritchie, Dummett, wish the best for them. But just the likes of Jeff Hendrick, where they've just been erased on the wage bill and they're finally being moved on, is exciting for me. And just seeing what options we're going to be bringing in now. Obviously, Lloyd Kelly and Adebayo links, there've been talks going on for a while now. Other clubs apparently in for Adebayo, Chelsea, Man United, apparently other teams that are putting offers on the table. Lloyd Kelly, it'll be interesting. From what I've heard, read, that seems more or less a done deal. But exciting summer for Newcastle United coming up. Let us know in the comments what you're most excited about. Is it the Adidas kits coming out? Is it the players coming in? Is it the players going out? Is it the club shop being renovated? Are you excited to see what the ground's going to look like when it opens back up for pre-season? But yeah, big news today coming out of the club. Thank you very much for joining us as always. I've been Andrew, as always. And yeah, do like the video, subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV because it does help the channel out massively. And I'll catch you in the next one.